Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Whistle Stop Cafe. Thank you for joining us for what we lovingly refer to as Albertans Day. Well, this is actually the first year that I've been able to come and say something to kick this off. Usually I'm stuck in the kitchen or doing something outside. It gets quite busy. And this year we have a lot of people that helped out and got things ready in advance. So I made it, although I'm late like usual. So sorry about that.
Lol.
Do not move the podium. Stay and speak at the podium. No exceptions. Okay. Gotcha. I had a reporter from CBC call me yesterday, and they asked me if I would comment on Albertans Day. Why are we doing a day on July 1st, which is Canada Day, and calling it Albertans Day? And my response was that, I don't hate Canada. I don't dislike Canada. I just feel differently now than I did 4 years ago. Some of you who were here 4 years ago, you might remember that we had a picker truck sitting right over there by the sign, and it had a big boom, and there was a 40-foot by 20-foot Canadian flag waving in the wind. Does anybody remember that? And then the next year, we had a 40-foot Alberta flag, and the next year as well, and then we donated the truck to a charity, so now we don't have the flagpole. But something changed, and I think for maybe a lot of Albertans, and maybe even a lot of Canadians, really. I went through a period of my life where we carried the flag to the place in the country where we're supposed to speak, Parliament, to send a message to government that the people were not okay with what was going on. And it was the most epic turnout of people I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely epic. There was hundreds of thousands of people showed up. And it was because we were unified as Canadians under the idea that our rights were being infringed on and we wanted the government to stop. That was our unity back then. Well, an interesting thing happened. When I came back to Alberta, as I was reading and watching the news, I discovered that people were saying that I was racist and misogynist and some ists and obias because I was carrying the Canadian flag. Oh, there we go. And that was a really strange feeling for me. That was the first time in my life where my patriotism was questioned. So in what world do people have a problem with other people carrying their national flag and speaking their mind? That's kind of what Canada is about. We're supposed to speak and discuss and vote and debate and come to the best conclusions and path forward for everyone. But during that time, I realized that that's not what we have anymore. We live in a country, and actually in Alberta, where the people that don't share our opinions they seem to be, in my experience, more inclined to cancel, so you can't have the conversation, or belittle or dehumanize you so that what you're saying is no longer relevant and no longer matters because you're less than human, or even worse, become violent. And I mean, we saw that in Edmonton in the last little while. I mean, the guy got pushed into traffic for standing there holding an Alberta flag. And these things, up until this point, they've made me question some things and change the way I'm thinking. So when the reporter asked me, why do we call it Albertans Day? Why do we do that on July 1st? I said, because what I believed Canada was doesn't exist. However, there's a growing number of people in Alberta that believe in what Canada used to be. And these people, you people, you get it? You people? These people, they understand what we believed Canada was when we were young, and we want that again, and we know we can have it. And we know we can have it by standing up for ourselves and politely saying, no, we do not wish to pursue this ideology with you, Canada. Thank you for the relationship we had in which it was unequitable and we couldn't change it, but, whatever, bygones. We're going to stand on our own. We're going to self-determine. We're going to decide what laws we live under. We're going to write our own constitution, and we're going to make sure that the values that we believed Canada had when we were young prevail. Because that's what built the West. That's what freedom is. It's individual rights and liberties. So Albertans Day it's not so much a slight to Canada or Canadians. It's kind of me tipping my hat and saying, hey, you know, this is a day to celebrate the values that Canada was. And this is a day to also celebrate the opportunity that Alberta has and Albertans have to make sure that those values continue into the future. And if you drive around Alberta right now, which I've been doing, believe me, we started Let's Talk Alberta, and Shane lovingly calls it the Let's See Alberta Tour, which it really should be called that. We've been everywhere, man. What you'll see is the vast majority of the patriotism that we see and experience in Alberta today is like this. It's blue flags and blue shirts, free Alberta, Alberta Republic, those types of notions by the people. People are celebrating the opportunity that Alberta has. And because it's Canada Day, I want to make sure that everybody understands why we have this opportunity. But first, I want to explain the idea of self-determination and people's ability to do that, the people's ability to change the governance structure that they live under has not always been an easy thing. If you think about the way change happened across the vast majority of history, it isn't like this. It didn't happen by people getting together and having discussions and debate and voting. It happened by people watching their sons and their daughters walk out the door to go fight other people and then never come home, to soak the ground with their blood, and then years later, maybe sometimes decades or hundreds of years later, that earned them the right and the opportunity to self-determine, to do a by the people thing. That's the way it usually goes. Even the United States, they're about to celebrate their 250th anniversary on the 4th coming up here. 250 years of freedom, of the greatest experiment in freedom that the world has ever seen. And they prevail. Has it been perfect? No, of course not. But they have the opportunity to stay free. They had to fight for years and lose tens of thousands of lives to gain that opportunity. Now in Canada, aside from the things that we have an issue with the inequity east to west and that, Canada respects and values the sacrifice that people have made for freedom so that we have the opportunity to keep our freedom. We value that. And now, because we live in a place like Canada, a guy like me can stand on a stage like this, blocked by handsome Max, and we can share our opinions freely with very little fear of persecution. I mean, maybe we'll get pushed into traffic or a cigarette butt will be put out on our face or something like that. But for the most part, we're free to speak. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I live in Canada and that Canada has afforded me as an Albertan the opportunity to decide whether or not I want to continue that relationship. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't see Albertans Day as a slight to Canada or an insult. I see it as an acknowledgement that the country we live in has afforded us the opportunity to speak that we have today, and I celebrate that. And I take advantage of that opportunity, and I will share my opinion. I'll share it with anybody. I'll talk to anybody about this. I'll listen to what they have to say, and then we'll have a discussion about it. And we can do so in peace. We don't have to worry about watching our kids go to war to fight for what we believe in. We can do it ourselves through conversation. That's what Let's Talk Alberta is about. That's what Albertans Day is about. And that's what we stand for here at the Whistle Stop Cafe. Individual rights and liberties for freedom, for the opportunity to keep that freedom, and for the blessing of being able to have the conversations that lead to a better future, if we choose to have them.
Can you get everybody to temporarily move out of the way so I can back this trailer out?
As soon as I'm done speaking, which is going to be in like 1 minute, I'm going to have to get folks just to come real close to the stage, and Shane wants to back that trailer out of there. So we'll do that when I'm done. The last thing I wanted to say is I realize that there's a lot of people here today that have been to the Whistle Stop Cafe July 1st, some of you for 6 years. Like this year, it's, what is it, 2026? 2026 is the 7th year anniversary of me taking this place over. 7 years. On July 9th, it'll be 7 years. And I got to say, thank you. You should be clapping for yourselves, because there's no way I could have done this without you folks. I would have been dead in the water in 2021 without you folks, so thank you very much for the support. 7 years. Now, 7 years, some of you might know this, some of you don't. My exit plan for this business was 7 years. I didn't want to have a restaurant for the rest of my life. I wanted to build something, make it my own, enjoy it, and then turn it over to somebody else to do the same thing. That was my goal. And if you have a business, I think a lot of people think that way. When you're in business, you have an exit plan, because you don't want to be married to something. Now, that changed for me, of course, because this isn't just a business anymore. I mean, how many businesses do this? How many businesses are part of starting a movement that's literally changing the world? Not very many, right? So that made me rethink my exit plan. How can we build something like this together and then just sell it off to the first person that wants it and walk away? Well, I can't do that anymore. It's just not possible. I love this place. I love what it's become. I love you guys, all you people, that have supported this from the very beginning. It's more than business to me. It's what's the word? It's family. It's community. Exactly. So back in May, actually last year at Albertans Day last year, you might have heard me talking about how I plan to have my semi-exit from the Whistle Stop Cafe. And since then, it's been a very slow process, because everything is slow with bureaucracy. But the idea is, we started a cooperative called the Whistle Stop Cooperative. And rather than me selling this place to the first person that comes through and bulldozes it and puts up a Denny's, what we're doing is we started a cooperative, and we're going to sell shares, legit cooperative shares registered with Service Alberta, so that you folks can own this place. So when I sell, I'm not selling it to someone so I can go and do something else. I'm giving it back and selling it back to the community that supported it in the first place. So you folks are all going to have an opportunity to own a piece of this. And then my hope is that together, and of course a cooperative is governed by a board of directors, and you guys will eventually elect those directors, this place will sustain and continue to represent what it has for the last few years. That's my goal. But at the same time, it also allows me to get out from underneath the mountain of crushing debt that we were left with over COVID, which still hasn't gone away, by the way. And no, people did not donate so that I could buy this place with no mortgage. I still have a mortgage. We raised enough for a down payment and then got into a really terrible mortgage, which somebody else very kindly bought out. So I do still have a mortgage. But that exit plan, that was kind of like me saying, okay, well, I'm 3 years, I'll be 50. Kind of want to do something where I'll be able to spend some more time with my kids, but now I can't not have this place. So that's why we started the Whistle Stop Cooperative. And I'm hoping that we have that finished this year for sure, so that people can start buying shares. Because if you think about what we do individually, right? We can do some things as individuals, but what have we done together since 2021? Think about that. We've literally changed the world starting in Alberta because we did it together. Now imagine what we could do with this place if we did it together. I mean, you should be sitting on pavement. We could do that. We could do all sorts of things. So that's the idea. Anyway, I'm very grateful for all you folks being here, and for those of you that have continued to watch online. It absolutely warms my heart to see so many people wearing my overpriced merchandise available at the Whistle Stop Cafe just right over here. That's pretty awesome. And not just because I'm a capitalist, but I really love that Alberta and Albertans are representing, and we're showing people what our opinions are. And we're using this overpriced merch to start conversations that are very important. We have the most important question that Albertans will ever be asked in October. It's a question about the future of Alberta within Confederation. It's a question of self-determination. It's a question of sovereignty. And the answer to that question, and the subsequent question after I get it, is going to change the face of Alberta for generations. The majority of us in this crowd, you know, we probably won't see the fruits of that. It's going to be our kids and our grandkids. But because that question is so important, and because we have the opportunity to be asked that question, because of the sacrifices other people have made that aren't just their time, I believe that we have a moral obligation and a duty to learn everything we can, to have the conversations so that when we go into that question in October, we can answer it to the best of our ability. That is our civic duty, and I don't take that lightly. And while I'm sure that most people here are on the same page, if you don't share my opinion that Alberta independence is necessary and inevitable, that's okay. We just need to have the conversations, and maybe you'll have the opportunity to change my mind. So enjoy Albertans Day. We have the Whistle Bus food truck set up over there. They're doing burgers and hot dogs and fries and brisket sandwiches. The restaurant is open, although it fills up pretty quick. There's only 32 seats, so please consider the food truck. And we have a whole bunch of wonderful vendors over there selling some really, really interesting things. Please don't leave here with any cash. Only leave here with their things. That would be awesome. Oh, and there's a flag back here. If we could get you folks to come through and sign that flag when you get a chance. The idea is that we're going to get everyone to sign it, and you'll hardly be able to see the flag because the community is going to be on that flag representing our desire to build a strong, free, and prosperous Alberta together. Thank you very much. And don't forget to move so Shane doesn't run over you with that trailer.
Don't go anywhere. He doesn't know this is happening, so excuse the look of shock on his face right now. Is this the execution? Yeah. No, absolutely not. So we organized something to my name is Brandon Pringle, and we organized something to recognize Chris for everything that he has done for us, for Alberta, for our kids. And every person I talked to make this happen was like, we are so behind the cause. He has so inspired us. We are so grateful, and we are so thankful for everything that he's doing. And so Such a Time Events organized a recognition for Dr. Mackis and Dr. Hodkinson a couple years ago. And it is called the Spirit of Alberta Award. And we are going to recognize Chris with the Spirit of Alberta Award today. And I'm going to read it to you. Yeah, absolutely. Standing ovation is very welcome. Absolutely. Okay, so you can't read it from here, so I'm going to read it to you. The Spirit of Alberta Award is hereby presented to Christopher Scott in recognition of his invaluable commitment to Alberta and her people. Chris is a true hero and warrior who has stood valiantly and peacefully, speaking boldly to protect the freedoms and future of Albertans. Chris is a powerful voice defending the rights of Alberta's sovereignty. His tireless advocacy has inspired countless people to cherish liberty and resist tyranny. Chris and his family bravely exhibit the spirit of independence and justice the province of Alberta was founded upon. A tireless guardian of Alberta's heritage, Chris fights every day for the people to ensure our communities and future generations can thrive in a province that puts its own first. Presented this day, July 1st, Alberta Day, 2026 in Mirror, Alberta, and you will know the truth and Woo! And we're not done. So don't forget to go and support Rocky Mountain Jewelry in Canmore. When I decided to attempt to do this, I went in with my idea with some really, really, really nice kitchen knife. But when I walked into his showroom to get him to engrave it, he said, well, I got this. How about this instead? And I'll cover half the cost. I'll throw it in. It's a custom-made knife it's a custom knife made by Rocky Mountain Custom Jewelry. And
Get closer to the mic. Get closer to the mic.
yeah, thank you. And Carson Fletcher is a huge fan. He told me to make sure Chris knows that he put a lot of love into this. And so this is a gorgeous custom knife made in custom made in an Alberta business who is a patriot. And it has his insignia on it, and it is it engraved Chris Scott, the Spirit of Alberta Award. So let's give him a hand. Woo! This is insane. Insanely. So please be very cautious.
Wow, this is absolutely incredible. But I just had a thought. Those pictures now of me holding the knife, I'm going to be accused of violence. Wow, that's quite the honor. Thank you very much, Brandon, and thank you all. I really appreciate it. I got to go. I have a mosquito in my eye.
Brother, bless you, man. Absolutely. Yeah.